You're watching Alaska's news source.
And now at 6, we continue following breaking news out of Anchorage where a fatal officer-involved shooting happened. We're told it happened just after 1 this afternoon in the area of Piper and Tudor Road. Lauren Maxwell is live at APD headquarters with the very latest.
Rebecca, Police Chief Sean Kay said they got at least a dozen calls from people reporting that a man was jumping in and out of traffic on Tudor and that he had a handgun. Some of the callers said he was pointing that handgun at them. Others said he was pointing the handgun at vehicles going by. And at one point, he jumped in front of a school bus that had to swerve to avoid him. Now, officers arrived on scene. He said the suspect started walking across the road towards another officer who had just exited his vehicle. That officer ordered the man to take his hand off the gun. When the man didn't comply, the officer shot him.
The officer ordered really the subject to take his hand off the gun. And shortly after providing that command, the officer fired approximately 5 rounds. And again, approximate, that's not the exact number, but from what I can tell from the body cam video, it was approximately 5 rounds.
And the man was pronounced dead at the scene in the middle of the road. No officers were injured in this incident, and the chief also says that this is the 3rd officer-involved shooting in Anchorage this year. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
He could have died if he had any worse injuries.
When you watch the video, it doesn't seem possible that anyone survived. A wall of white cascaded down the mountain from 4,000 feet up, and the piercing cry of avalanche rang out. Within seconds, the avalanche, with the power of 1,000 cars, barreled down the mountain and caught a skier who had been enjoying his day on East Groundhog Peak. This is what it looked like. About 40 seconds into this video, the avalanche crashes down. Raphael Pease, a friend of that skier as well as a professional snowboarder and filmmaker, immediately knew this wasn't good. He's been in avalanches before. So Pease threw off his snowboard, jumped on a snow machine, and hoped for the best.
Because you don't know if you're going to come to a burial site or, a dead body or someone who needs help. Fortunately, he didn't die on impact in the rocks, and he wasn't buried in an avalanche. So that made the whole rescue that much quicker.
About 5 hours later, the injured skier was lifted up into a helicopter and taken to the hospital. He has since texted with Pease since that avalanche and says he is recovering. And people who were with him are frustrated with how long the rescue took. Pease said the 5-hour response time should have been a lot faster, but it wasn't, he says, because of what he calls poor communication between multiple agencies. Pease said his group made it clear to dispatch that a hoist line was needed, but the first helicopter to arrive, a LifeMed helicopter, did not have the proper equipment. Pease claims that the rescue coordination effort prioritized the private medical helicopter over the government-funded one from the military.
There needs to be a way to share the right resources and contacts, and I've been talking to a lot of the PJs from the rescue that we were on, and others who are involved, and they just said, when someone asks for a hoist line, you got to send a helicopter with a hoist line. You don't waste someone's time on both ends.
The Air National Guard responded saying when the call came in Friday that the wing duty officer immediately accepted the mission. The spokesperson said the air crew got to the mountain within 30 minutes of leaving J-Bear, which he says is the normal timeline. A U.S. Justice Department immigration enforcement memo outlines how FBI task forces will work with Homeland Security. That comes after FBI Alaska released pictures of detained Alaskan men saying they're supporting DHS's mission. Now, they did not describe what the men are doing or what they have been alleged to have done. The memo says the FBI is required to review files for information related to non-citizens illegally in the U.S.
So far, this work has led to the arrest of dangerous criminals and terrorists all across the country. And we've taken illegal firearms off the streets and out of our communities.
That was the FBI's acting director today explaining the Bureau's role. The FBI Alaska declined to comment on the memorandum, saying it had a long-established relationship with DHS and will continue providing support, including for in-field operations. The Anchorage School District says it has no plans to release students to immigration officers unless they have a warrant from the courts. The district says it's gotten calls from concerned families, but the Anchorage School Board president says a court order has always been a long-standing policy.
There's a high level of responsibility in releasing a student to anybody, and it simply says for someone other than a custodial parent or guardian, that has to be someone with a judicial warrant. I think it's reasonable to make that clear to the public and to all our staff in case they're caught up in that.
The district says it doesn't know if students are in the country legally or not because it doesn't collect information on their immigration status. And we're learning what some budget cuts could be to deal with a projected $100 million deficit. Joe Allgood's live from a board meeting.
So far, we've heard the Anchorage School District present to the school board about what those costs might look like, including sports programs and even staff, to deal with the projected $100 million shortfall. That includes eliminating library assistants as well as staff reductions across all grade levels. That was proposed during a work session this afternoon. Also proposed was eliminating high school hockey, swimming and diving, and gymnastics. This comes on top of saying that the proposed closures of Lake Hood and Nunaka Valley elementary schools may help slightly, but not enough.
There's a little bit of a loss of the state revenue that kind of corresponds to that drop of enrollment, and as well as not being able to count on an additional supplemental one-time contribution from the legislature. So you'll remember that they did appropriate about $2 million worth of supplemental funds for the current year that we are not expecting to receive again.
District leaders repeating a familiar line about looking to Juneau to find more support. We'll keep you updated with any new changes as tonight's meeting goes. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
I'm Adrian Peterson, and I'm here at the Fairbanks School District building, where after months of community discussions, we're expecting to see a vote on if 5 schools will be closed. That proposal is part of a school consolidation plan. It comes as the district faces a $16 million budget deficit. The schools impacted are all elementary schools. They include Pearl Creek, Hunter, Two Rivers, Salcha, and Midnight Sun Elementary. We'll keep you updated on our webpage when the vote happens, and I'll let you know where things stand on the late edition.
Well, there is a new scoring champ in the state of Alaska. Tyler Lane has details.
Yeah, it's not often you see a kid do things that made the likes of the late Kobe Bryant so famous, let alone top them. Northway's Terrence Titus is the new high school scoring state champ. The junior guard put up 82 points against Buckland last Friday, surpassing the previous mark Tokes Skylar Webb set in 2009. In total, he made up just under 69% of the entire team's final score, just pure domination in a 119-109 victory, an effort he was told would need to happen to get the win.
There was some guy in the stands doing warm-ups that game. He told me if we want to be that team, let's drop 81 like Kobe. I didn't know I was going to drop that much. It surprised me.
You can find more on our website, and we'll have an in-depth look at this performance tonight in the late edition. And up next, check in with our mushers out on the trail as John Thompson has the latest from Yukon Quest, Alaska, when we return. Tyler Lane, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.